What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fann of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And this afternoon, I'm joined by my good friend, Michael D'Arcy of KC Sports Report. Michael's first appearance back on the channel as the Kansas City Chiefs are AFC champions. And most of you already know, but Michael was at the game last night, so we have to start there. And I really don't have a clear direction for this video. We're just going to kind of talk about
just rant
everything that happened last night, man, like the aftermath. That's why I put it in the banner at the bottom. But Michael, man, how was that experience, man, being there for another AFC championship? I know you were there for the 2022 AFC Championship game, but this just kind of had to feel different, I feel like. Well, and I was watching your video earlier as well, just kind of talking about how this was probably the most important game in Arrowhead Stadium history because of, the history that the Kansas City Chiefs were facing, and something just felt different about this one. And to be a part of that, like you were, how was that?
It was unreal. And listen, so basically what we ended up doing, so for those of you that don't know, I'm on the Pyro team, so we were setting up down, on the field pregame. I've done this multiple times in the playoffs, big game after big game. When Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes ran through the tunnel and went through the Pyro, I literally got goosebumps. I was like, oh my gosh, this is where it starts. this is what we've been waiting the entire season for. It all comes down to this. The Chiefs are one game away from having an opportunity to do something that this has never happened before in the NFL history book. They could literally go out and try to three-peat, but they had to win last night. And somehow, some way, they were able to get it done. The atmosphere was electric. I'll never forget the 4th and 5 stop and just jumping up and down with my coworkers, literally hugging strangers, going ballistic because we knew the Chiefs had won the game. I know they still had to get 2 first downs to completely ice it, but it was you stop Josh Allen on 4th and 5. It felt like that was the dagger. To quote what's his name? Kevin Harlan, my bad. Is this the dagger? It was the dagger, Josh. That was an unforgettable experience. Now, I will say the 22 one felt different because it felt okay, the Chiefs just beat the Bengals. They beat them the year before. They hadn't been to the Super Bowl. This isn't just a normal thing. They hadn't been to the Super Bowl the year before. So that one kind of felt like revenge. But this one felt unique and great in a different way because it felt like all the noise, all of the hatred around this Chiefs team, by just NFL fans in general, it kind of just felt like the Chiefs just stuck up a giant middle finger to everybody saying, we're still better than you. And dude, when I was really hyped, when Patrick Mahomes had that rushing touchdown where it was a designed quarterback run, I was losing my mind. I was like, that is a genius play call. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that, but it's Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo were it's time to play ball. And they called just a masterclass, offensively and defensively. But Josh, that atmosphere, electric, one of those nights that I'll just never forget. And the Chiefs have a chance to go win a Super Bowl.
A 3rd Super Bowl in a row, which is just unfathomable. Even when they drafted Mahomes, and I was always a believer in Mahomes, I wanted him over Watson. It's been well documented. But I never imagined this, man. I never imagined this level of success. And also to beat the same quarterback in Josh Allen 4 times in a row in the postseason. That's never been done either. The Chiefs are still chasing history right now as we speak, but they also made quite a bit of history last night. They're also the first team to ever go to 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year span. So, man, they just really set themselves apart from every other dynasty in NFL history and still have a chance to do so. But let's talk more about the actual game. So, Michael, I think we were pretty much spot on in our preview, I feel like.
We knew ball.
And especially I'll pat myself on the back here. I said you had to score 30 to win this game. You had to break 30 points. And literally you had to, because the Bills scored 29, the Chiefs scored 32, and they won. And I know Spags dialed up the pressure at the very end when he needed to, and I'm glad he saved that for the end when they really needed it. Because for most of the night, Michael, the defense wasn't good. It just wasn't. And we said that in the preview as well. Like, Josh Allen's going to get his. And that's why I never understood the people saying, like, Chiefs are going to win 28-21. Chiefs are going to win, 25-20. That was never happening in my mind. Like, Josh Allen was going to show up. The Bills were going to score points. And but it was frustrating, even though I predicted it, it was still extremely frustrating because the Chiefs had multiple chances in this game to go up by like multiple scores and really pull away from the Bills. And they would do something stupid to let them back in it, whether it was a fumble in the red zone or just the botched defensive stand at the end of the first half. The Chiefs had a chance to go into halftime up 21-10. And it quickly turned into 21-16 because McDuffie got beat, which rarely ever happens, of course, but it happens at the end.
Mac Hollins, too.
Yeah, and well, that's just not a good matchup. And like that's kind of one of my gripes with Spags from last night is that was not the matchup for McDuffie. And like I still thought we saw too much Najee Johnson in that game. I mean, I don't know if you remember, Michael, but there was a play where Najee Johnson got stiff-armed to hell by James Cook. And it's like, come on, man, there's got to be another option there. But I don't want to pick on Najee, in particular, because he really didn't play that many snaps last night. It just seemed like he was out there for much more because of how much he stuck out when he was. But look, in the very end, Spags dialed up the pressure that he needed to. And I will say, and I tweeted about this earlier, the fact that still had a chance to be completed. I mean, credit to Josh Allen, but also, I mean, like, that's got to get tightened up. I mean, it was Dalton Kincaid that dropped it, and cool. I'm glad he dropped it, but man, if he hadn't, we would have had to have a talk about the third and long defense and the fourth down defense because you just can't. That should not even have had a chance of being completed. Although Josh Allen is great, and I mean he was going to give his team a chance in the end there. But I mean, yeah. I agree with you, Michael. After that, it felt like the Kansas City Chiefs had the game won, even though they still had to get a first down. You could tell Josh Allen knew, like they were deflated. And it was over. But I will say that last offensive possession where the Chiefs had to settle for a field goal, I thought, if they lose this game, this is going to be the story of the season. How Mahomes couldn't make that one throw or couldn't make that one more play. The offense didn't feel right all year. You needed 7, not 3, because you thought that the Bills were going to go down and score and leave no time left on the clock for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it felt like that was going to be the story of the season. But luckily, the defense, when they really needed to stop, got it. And also, before that, they really needed to stop on that fourth down. They got it when it was 9-22, and they went and tied the game. And that was the biggest turning point for me.
Well, that 4th and 1 stop where they did stop Josh Allen from getting the first down, that ended up being the difference in the game. If I'm correct, they went down the field and kicked that field goal to make it 32-29. That was how big that moment was.
Well, are you talking about the 4th and 1? Because the 4th and 1 is whenever it was 29-22, and then they went and tied it.
Really? Okay. I thought it was the –
Or no. No. So actually, no, they went up 29-22 after that, I believe it was. And then the Bills came back down and tied it 29-29. And then the Chiefs kicked the field goal.
I got it all. I told
you. Dude, last night was a blur. Let's just be honest.
I was basically high on life at that point. Like the emotional swing. I can't believe that Josh Allen completed that pass in the back of the end zone on 4th down. I was like, really? Like, he's just so gifted. And I don't like the Bills. But
I remember because sorry to cut you off because I don't want to mess this up because people are going to blast us in the comments. The Chiefs were down like 22-21, I think. And then they got the 4th down stop, scored. It was 29. But they had to go for the 2-point conversion and got it. Justin Watson got the 2-point conversion. Then it was tied, or the Chiefs were up, not tied. They were up.
29-22.
Yes. And then the Bills tied it on that 4th down. That was a clutch 4th down play by the Bills on offense. But also, like, again, you want to pick, negatives out of this game defensively. Like the Chiefs had called the timeout prior to that 4th down play and still had no idea where I forget who even had the touchdown. on that play, on that fourth down.
Was
for
it
the Bills.
was it Shakir? No. It was Coleman.
One of their bigger
No,
receivers.
it was not Coleman. It was Samuel, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
It was one of their bigger receivers. That's all I remember. But it's like, come on, you can't be that lost, especially after using a timeout beforehand. But we knew, Michael, that this Bills team was going to be hard to stop. But all we asked for in the preview is for the Chiefs defense to give the offense a chance, and they did exactly that.
Not only did they do that, Josh, there are 4 plays in this game that I think are the reason that you won. And those 4 plays are the 2 2-point conversions that the Chiefs defense just straight up denied, said, not going to happen. That's 4 points off the board. And when you lose by 3, that's a bitch. Like that sucks. Yeah. The other play was the 4th and 1, where the Chiefs defense was able to hold the line, tackle Josh Allen, who tried one of his quarterback sneaks again. The Chiefs successfully stopped the tush push more than any other team that I've ever seen. Like, that's almost automatic.
Yeah.
The Chiefs were able to take that away. And then, of course, the final play, the play that was the biggest play in the game for the defense, was that 4th and 5, where, they were able to blitz off the left side, I believe, and it was
so they put Chris. So the reason that worked was because they had Chris Jones line up at defensive end on the right side. So the Bills thought, we want to stay away from that side. But then the Chiefs overloaded the pressure coming from the left side, where Josh Allen didn't quite expect it and ran right into it. And that's just, Chris Jones, not a huge game stat wise, but that's the stuff that he does. That goes underappreciated by Chiefs fans.
I saw something that he was winning on 30, or I think he had a 33%.
Yeah, like a 33% pass rush win rate, which would have led the league this year if that was like his average. Like, that's how good that is. Like, Myles Garrett averaged, I think, because I think he led the league in pass rush win rate this year. And Chris Jones had higher than that in this game.
That's what we call a big time player making a big time play in a big time game. That's exactly what he did.
And that's why you pay him.
That's why you pay. That's why he's worth the $30-something million a year that he's being paid.
Like, are we really going to lose Chris Jones over $2-3 million? Like, come on.
No, because guess what? He just made this team a lot of money by winning this football game. And Josh, this is not going off too much into the weeds. I've been very impressed with George Karlaftis in this playoff run. Like, very impressed. And I know he's got Chris Jones to help him out, and Charles Omenihu has given this team some juice. But George Karlaftis has won a lot more of his one-on-ones, and I feel like he is just, kind of like Frank Clark, always around the quarterback in the playoffs, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, and I've been tough on him, but last night, just the effort and the motor, it does pay off in games like these when, fourth quarter, you need a stop. Most everyone else is gassed, but not George Karlaftis. Nope, his motor just keeps on going. And he was the one that was closest to Josh Allen on that 4th down play, and he ended up making the difference there because Josh Allen kind of had to throw up what I would call a prayer. And
not a bad prayer either, Josh.
No, not at all.
That should have been caught. Like, genuinely, it should have been caught. And as I was at the stadium, I didn't know that ball was dropped. It kind of just looked like it hit the ground. So I was like, oh my gosh, like the Chiefs just won. But no, the ball was in his hands and he dropped it. And we've seen, Kincaid do it this week. Andrews did it last week. These tight ends outside of Travis Kelce, man, they're just dropping the football in key moments.
Yeah, no, they are. And, even Travis Kelce didn't do that much last night, but he had the key block on the Patrick Mahomes rushing touchdown. And he still opened up things for guys like Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy had maybe his best game of his rookie season and the biggest game of his young career. And what I think is great, and I made a video about this late last night and it dropped earlier this morning, but that trade, Michael, that the Bills made with the Kansas City Chiefs, basically opting to give away Xavier Worthy to Chiefs while they took Keon Coleman, that move may have lost them the AFC Championship game last night because Xavier Worthy was the Chiefs' best wide receiver in that game. Meanwhile, Keon Coleman, 1 catch for 12 yards. And you can very easily make the argument that if those two players switch teams last night, the Bills come out on top in this game.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to do something really quickly, Josh. Remember on draft night when we were told that this guy –
oh my God, he pulled out the Sky Moore card.
That guy was going to be catching touchdown passes for Patrick Mahomes for a decade. That's not going to happen. Xavier Worthy is going to catch touchdown passes from Patrick Mahomes for the next decade. Like, he is someone you can build this team around. And you saw it last night in this game. The Bills traded us the pick to go get Worthy. I don't know why. That's a fireable offense. I don't know who orchestrated that trade. That is a fireable offense. If I'm a Bills like fan or even the Bills owner, that is unacceptable. He beat you in this game. That the 85 yards, the touchdown, what he was able to do to move the chains on offense, like, dude, he beat you. Like, the guy that you didn't want just beat you. And it goes the same with Patrick Mahomes as well.
And granted, like, the Bills had injuries in the secondary, and we knew that they weren't going to have Taylor Rapp in this game, but also they lost Christian Benford after the first drive for the Bills defense.
So what happened on that? Because I couldn't tell, and they didn't announce it. Did he knocked out cold?
Pretty much. So, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, because I really wanted to get your thoughts on this. I was kind of vocal about it last night. He was trying to make a tackle attempt, and I believe it was actually Damar Hamlin, who, by the way, was wearing a Guardian cap, and he wasn't, which I think is worth noting. But Damar Hamlin also was in on the tackle attempt and basically hit Christian Benford kind of in the head. Everyone's trying to get in on the action, helmets hit or whatever, but that was all it took. And Christian Benford was like done, and they put him on the cart and they had to seatbelt him in. Now, I also talked about this last night, but Aaron Borgman on Twitter, who used to work for the Kansas City Chiefs training staff, he said in his 12 years working in the league, he's never seen a player be put on the cart for a concussion. But not only was he put in the cart, but he had to be seatbelted in because he was that out of it. And my take, Michael, is that Christian Benford really should have never passed concussion protocol. And I think the Buffalo Bills should be investigated for allowing him to play when he clearly was still concussed.
Yeah, that's crazy. And also, the Bills have a guy that his heart stopped on the middle of the field, and they're not taking this seriously. Like, that's insane to me. And when he first went down, I was kind of like, I didn't see what happened, but I assumed okay, the cart came out. So this is serious. And then I heard people saying oh, it's Benford. And I was like, oh, that's a massive loss for them.
Yeah.
But also that dude suffered a pretty substantial concussion a week ago, and he was going to play the same week.
And then he was out of practice on Friday for what they called personal reasons, which
he probably couldn't even see straight.
They probably just let him rest at home for the day because they really needed him for this game. And I think I had my suspicions. I think they skeeted the concussion protocol rules to get him ready for this game. And it just should not have happened.
No, that's disappointing. That's really disappointing.
Yeah, it is. But we'll see what happens. I imagine, I think it needs to be treated the same way the Dolphins were when Tua got concussed again. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Back to this game, though. Once that happened and Kyer Elam came into the game, another player that the Bills ended up having to get after the Chiefs traded in front of them for Trent McDuffie, who they truly wanted. That was the matchup that they attacked. And
barbecue chicken.
Yeah. Look, the Chiefs offense, they had to crack 30 in this game. They did that, and I don't have too much to complain about. Now, if you want to pick out some things, they were bad in the third quarter. And they also came out of halftime really needing to score, I felt like, and just kind of fell flat. And then they also had a 3-and-out, I believe, later in the third quarter. It was the third quarter. And that quarter kind of killed them or kind of allowed Buffalo to get back in it. But then also, man, if you just want to pick out a negative offensively, Michael, I think I'm ready to bury DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think that he's someone that's going to have a big game in the postseason. I don't think it's there for him. I just think he's out there to draw coverages and to get attention from the defense, but this is not a guy that you're going to see have a big game for the Chiefs in the postseason. I just think that's where we're at.
Probably not. And listen, he can just kind of hang along for the ride. It's not necessarily important that he does end up, making an impact, because you have got guys like, Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster was the team's second lead receiver.
And that's what I was going to say next. You have Worthy, you have Hollywood, who looked really good last night, especially early on when they got him going on those slants. That looked familiar, didn't it? That's exactly what the plan was for Rashee Rice. But also Juju. I have full faith in Juju that he can have another big game. He's just a playoff riser. Travis Kelce, I think he's going to do really well once again in a Super Bowl. So I'm not really concerned if DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to be a factor, and he still has a role out on the field. He's going to draw attention, and that's perfectly fine with me. But I don't think he's going to have a big game.
I don't think he's going to have a big game either, but I also don't think they need him to have a big game.
No.
Travis Kelce is going to be called upon. I expect he'll probably get a good sample size in that Super Bowl. But, like, I feel really good about the Chiefs' offense because they have so many different guys that can hurt an opposing defense. And they didn't have that last year. And that's going to be a big thing, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, the offensive line, that was a big question coming into this one, but I thought they did a really good job in this game. I thought Mahomes had plenty of time for most of the night. No, they're going to have to take their game up a level against the Eagles' defensive line, but still, I mean, the Bills are no slouch on the defensive line with Ed Oliver, Von Miller, Greg Rousseau. I mean, they have some dudes for sure. But yeah, offensively, I thought Andy Reid had a great game plan, and he did fantastically for this game and drawing up some of those run plays for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we saw some beautiful stuff last night from this offense.
Oh, yeah. Listen, Andy Reid was in his bag. I mentioned it. I loved the designed run for Patrick Mahomes. Like, he did something that's Josh Allen's thing. Josh Allen's the rushing quarterback that can get in the end zone. You saw a very different story last night. Josh Allen didn't score a touchdown with his feet. Patrick Mahomes had 2. And so it's kind of crazy that, like, Patrick Mahomes played Josh Allen's game, and he did it better than he did.
Mm-hmm. And look, Josh Allen, man, like, I don't think the Bills lost last night because of anything he did wrong.
No.
It's just the Kansas City Chiefs are the Kansas City Chiefs. And we talked about, kind of what would happen, Michael, if they lost again. And I just feel like at this point, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, they're just like, man, what do we have to do? We can't beat this team. It's not happening. Like, what do we have to do? You kind of have to feel for them just a little bit.
I definitely do. And listen, I would have been pissed if we lost. I'm not going to say that. But
sure.
I feel bad for Josh Allen because he truly has given everything in every matchup that he's played in. And it's like never his fault. And that sounds crazy because, like, I am a firm believer that, like, the quarterback needs to take some responsibility too, but, like, he did a lot to win that game. It's just like these other teams can't do enough to beat the Chiefs when it truly matters.
Nope. And it's crazy because the Bills won the turnover battle. They had basically every bounce go their way in this game, and they still lost.
Yeah, they got on top of 5 fumbles.
Yeah, like if you told me that the Bills recovered 5 fumbles in this game and won the turnover battle, I would have said the Chiefs lost
by a lot, probably by multiple scores.
Yeah. That is just insane to me.
Just shows you how good they are.
There's one last thing though that I want to talk about, Michael, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. But trust me, guys, we're gonna have a lot more throughout the next couple of weeks, like a lot more. And we also have our Tuesday night live stream. If Michael and I are on to do that, so be on the lookout for that. But
yes.
Reaction, Michael, when Patrick Mahomes completed the first down to Samaje Perine.
I lost my mind. Like I think I jumped into my coworker, like we were just jumping up and down, and I like literally just jumped right into him and like knocked him over. Like we were losing our minds, and we knew the game was pretty much over. But it's like the most unlikely person in that situation
hadn't touched the ball the entire game.
No, and his one touch goes to seal the game in an AFC Championship game, and the Chiefs picked him up off the scrap heap when the Broncos cut him. So it's just like, the Chiefs are going to beat you in the most degrading and funny way possible. And that's what they did in this game. And just the reaction in that moment was just like pure happiness. Like, it's just like, we literally just did it again.
It was just another Chiefs game, man. It was just another Chiefs game like we had been watching all season long. But we kept wanting to say, like, man, you play like this in the postseason, you're not going to win, and they just keep on winning. So,
they can play like however they want. Honestly, Josh, at this point, covering this team is like, yeah, they're probably going to win.
There were so many opportunities to win by multiple scores, but the Chiefs are like, nah, we don't want to do that. We want to make it dramatic. We want to have the dramatic finish. And
What did
that's
Mahomes
what
say?
happened.
What did Mahomes say on
On the
television?
golf cart, yeah, he was
Yeah.
like, "I just keep it close to the end." He was not kidding when he said that.
What he does, man.
But
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I'm
no,
fired up.
and that play call, man, to Samaje Perine, like that was not easy. And I don't know if people
No.
were like that was not an easy play to pull off.
No, because I think he caught it behind him. Maybe I'm wrong, but like he kind of had the ball on his lower hip, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. It kind of
Well, if you
reminded
watch the
me.
replay as well, like it was not like Samaje Perine still had to run quite a bit and run pretty
Yes.
fast in order to get that first down. I mean, and the defender did have a chance at him.
Can I tell you what it reminded me of? It's very Damian Williams-esque.
Yeah,
Like it was
for
very
sure.
much so like I saw this in 2019.
Yeah, no, for sure. He looked like Damian Williams on that play, and to
Yeah.
have the speed to get to the edge there and just turn upfield to get the first down. Yeah, it was a great feeling. Kansas City Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl 59 to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Michael and I will be here to cover it over the next 2 weeks. We're going to have tons of stuff, guys, but we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video here. So with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com for more. Lastly, you can follow me on Twitter at showmefb. And then, of course, before we go, Michael, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. That's kind of the one-stop shop for everything that I do. But yeah, definitely subscribe to Josh. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. And we're going to have a ton of content in the next 2 weeks. So definitely subscribe to both of us because we're going to be pumping it out.
Absolutely. And Michael's stuff will all be down in the description as always. So once again, guys, that's all we have. So we will be signing off and we will see you guys in the next one. As always, go Chiefs.